wet one. Eh? Oh, you bastard. Winston, £3.50 up the swallow.
Oh, come in the kettle's just well.
Owned it. Welcome. Get it up, you.
Hello, boys and girls, lads and lassies, and welcome back to what is going to be the last live stream on a Wednesday for a while. So, myself and Colin, we're going to guide you through our old Jurassic. Well, we say people call it Jurassic Park. At me, I call it when I was a boy park, because I feel that old sometimes. That 65 million years ago sounds about right.
That's about when. Yep, I'll say that's about when the old ones were having the war in heaven, the Warhammer 40k. All I can say is I'm just glad not to have been fired after Saturday.
Yes, Saturday. Saturday, yeah, I'm glad I'm back. I was really ill yeah. Well, last Wednesday, last Tuesday, I've been no feeling great for the last couple of weeks, but last Tuesday when I came home from work, I went to my bed and I woke up on Wednesday morning. I was working from home, so it was a lot easier. So I worked for the morning, and instead of having lunch, I went to my bed for an hour. I thought, I'm getting really old. I have to go for a nap at lunchtime. So I woke up, went back to work, and then at 5 o'clock, I went to my bed, and that was me until Saturday. I just lay in my bed. That's the times I was on. I was literally lying in my bed with my iPad, just watching the streams. I was literally ill. And although I had started getting better on Saturday, I just wasn't up to coming on. So I just sat in the chat, which was fun, sitting in the chat, gabbing to people, not actually paying attention to what was happening on screen. Hello. So it was nice, but I think because my workload and things that happen in the background, midweek is just killing me. And it's just going to have to, I'll just put out streams on a Wednesday night. I'll just put reviews because I can record them in about half an hour, and then I can spend a couple of days editing it and within my own time. So it's not a case of, oh, I need to get it out, I need to get it done. I could just do it over a week and just get it out and just. But I think it's just a case of it starting to take its toll. And I think last week it just got on top of me, and I thought, oh, I've been out for a wee while, so maybe it's just a case of overwork. Didn't help.
Maybe. Could be.
So I'm actually putting it down to my old age. Oh, grandpa, when I was a lad. But you know what I mean? I'm starting to feel like Gabby Hayes. Yeah, I mean, the streams are actually starting to feel like westerns, and every time you actually see a stream with me on it, it's like Gabby Hazy. But
I even know who that is. I'm impressed.
Eh?
I'm impressed. I even know who that is. I was.
There you go. Because Gabby Hayes was in most westerns of the time because he was friendly with all the big thingy. They always wanted him in, and he was always that wee. Oh, and he was only in, even if it was only a wee bit part. He was in so many movies. People expected, if they didn't have Gabby Hayes in it, they thought, is this a western? It just didn't seem right. It'd be like actually having a superhero movie and there's no girl boss in it. It just seemed weird. I know. So tonight we are going to look at Jurassic Park. And I must admit, Jurassic Park is a movie to me. It's really good, entertaining, but it's one of those ones is once I've seen it, I don't really care about it enough to actually rewatch it. Like rewatching it for the review, I enjoyed because I hadn't seen it for about 6-7 years, but it was the visuals and looking at it thinking, that's a good story. The visual effects on it are absolutely amazing for the time. And well, looking at the Doctor Who Doomsday trailer, this is actually like looking at a Van Gogh or I mean, compared to actually some kid in the playground drawing.
Please,
Jurassic Park looks like a Van Gogh. It basically, and then the Doctor Who Doomsday trailer looks like somebody's actually a 3-year-old with crayons on it, basically trying to actually draw on something. It's just the comparisons and what they did then and what they're doing now. It just
Please,
goes.
I first saw that on the Rabbi stream. I then watched the
Father and Ian.
No, I didn't see that one because I was busy last night. I was about to join in. No, I then went over from the Rabbi stream over to the Spacebook, and later on the evening, Gobby Guy dropped one. So I watched that 3 times. I am still convinced it's actually made as the pre-ride introduction briefing stroke queuing entertainment for a theme park ride.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the things you used to get at places like Legoland where you're waiting and they made it seem to set you up for it.
Yes. It is. I watched Ian and the father talking about it, and I'm sitting there thinking everything Ian's saying. Everything Ian says, I usually go, yep,
Yep.
So every time Ian was talking about it, I was going, yeah, I don't need to be on the father's. Ian says everything, I think.
Yeah. Well,
and it basically, it just looked bad. But what makes it look a lot worse is when you're looking at Jurassic Park, as Darren says, 30 years ago. Look at the CGI, the visual effects on that compared to what you're getting on TV now. You look at the visual effects on some of the movies they've been talking about. The Disney ones are just throwing it out, and you're looking at it going, "Is this a 2000s video game?" I've seen better in a video game from 2000s, and it's meant to be this state of the art stuff. And it's literally like somebody's just basically handed their 4-year-old a keyboard and goes, "This is what we want." But the difference between that, it's bad cosplay at its worst. You know what I mean?
4-year-olds would do a better job.
Make a cosplay. So I've got a costume and I've got a bit of material around. Right, cut that neckline off that hoodie, and we'll tap it on there so it looks as if it's literally been cut, not even straight. It's just been cut with a pair of scissors, hacked off, tipped on, and then, right, glasses, cut a bit off, put one glass on over the ear, right, super glue it to the ear now. Yeah, that looks all very futuristic. Somebody's wearing a single monocle, but they've cut it from a pair of glasses because... I mean, it's literally, it looks cheap. It doesn't look as if they've tried to make it. You get ones, people try to deliberately make it look cheap, which is fair enough because they're trying to give it that this is old time, so it looks cheap. But you know, the quality behind it is good to make it look bad.
Yeah.
But you look at Doctor Who. You look at Viva La Diddly. Have you seen any of them? They're doing the Dead by Viva La Diddly. It's a YouTube.
No.
It is literally they had the NPC guy, but they're doing Dead by Midnight. They do Red Dead Redemption. They do Survival. They do a lot of different computer games, and it's basically almost NPC one is about the NPC characters in it, and it's just funny. They just I'll send you a link. It's actually quite good, but they've got some effects in it. Considering they're a video channel, it started off, I used to watch them when they had less than 10,000 viewers, and they've got millions of viewers. They're even building their own sets so they can actually do more stuff. But the effects in it are really good. There's a bit it's meant to look like The Ring. So the woman comes up behind the guy, right? And then the heartbeat goes, which is a CGI on top of it, right?
Yeah.
But the ring ghost is like, as it's coming in, it's just sparking out. But the effects are good considering it's a YouTube channel and the guys are actually have been doing those type of things themselves from the beginning. They've obviously just edited wee videos and made it look as if there's these things happening. Then you see things like Jurassic Park, where they've got the big money, the big budget, they've got the expertise behind it to do all these big special effects and practical effects. Let's not rule out the practical effects. Absolutely amazing. And then you've got Doctor Who. That if my grandson said at this moment in time he designed it and edited it and put it up, I would be going, shh, don't tell anybody, even at your age, don't say. It just goes to show the difference in quality, and you don't need to have big budgets to do really good stuff. You need to have people with a passion for it. Jurassic Park, they had people who were passionate about their art. They were good, and they were given time, and they were given the budget to complete it. Then you've got like Viva La Diddley, where it's people who are passionate about the streams they do and to make it look a wee bit better. And they've obviously got into it and they've edited it in such a way that it looks really good. And then you get Doctor Who Doomsday that looks like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I've never used this program. It'll be fine. It's stuff like that. Whereas Jurassic Park, it's so good because the memes that come out of it are superb. Dr. Malcolm, I think he's out of that whole movie. His meme's the most popular. This is one pile of shite.
Yep.
It basically just bits and pieces like what you call her? I'll need to get her name. I've got it sitting here. It's just Ellie Slater, right? The whole one about things like God created dinosaurs, God killed dinosaurs, God created man created dinosaurs, dinosaurs kill, and then she says dinosaurs kill man, women inherit the earth. Which is, to me, it's obviously she's not the first to do it because obviously Jennifer Lawrence did.
Well, yeah, obviously.
She gets a dig at them all. And then there's the bit where, what do you call him? John Hammond gives it you shouldn't really go because, and she says, we'll talk about your bullshit, your sexist bullshit later when I get back. And it's a case of, I can see that happening. Real life, there's a woman who wants to go out, needs to go out, and doesn't want to sit there, and he's giving it the older guy. He's not trying to say it as derogatory. He just feels that I should be doing it because I'm a man and I should be putting myself in danger unless said to you. He's not doing it out of condescension, but she doesn't take it as it's condescending. She's taking it as that's a bloody old-fashioned attitude. And we'll talk about your sexist stuff later on. But it's a dig at him, but it's not slapping him down as if to say, do you think I'm going to do anything? It's just a case of, that might have, it's an old-fashioned attitude. People, older people have that attitude. They believe, to an extent, I suppose I've still got those type of feelings. But the thing is, it showed that she was strong without actually having to go right over the top and nick them down. Each of the characters still had the strong part. To me, the worst character in that whole movie was the John Hammond character. But he was meant to be this nice old man who's just got this dream and he doesn't care about anything else. The dream is the old thing. So to me, his whole naivety is put on. It's unfortunate. I think it is just put on because when it comes down to it, he's saying that, and then when they're giving him arguments against it, he's going, but you don't understand. Really? Right, if I was in the John Hammond position, do you know what I would do? Yeah, I would clone dinosaurs Do you know what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't bring back any meat eaters. Yes, people might want to see a T-Rex. We'll do that maybe 15, 20 years down the line. But if you want to show the dinosaurs and all that, do the meat, do the veg, the Vegasauruses, as they kept calling it. Basically do that, because you're actually it's like Jurassic Park 2. Then they've got this one, it can camouflage itself and do this, and you're sitting there thinking, in effect, you're already turning around and saying the T-Rex is no scary enough for your new next movie. I think it's Jurassic Park 3. Your next movie, you have to create a bigger, badder creature than a T-Rex. That just goes to show that the people who are writing this have got zero concept of it. So to me, if I was doing it in real life, I would do maybe the Triceratops, the Brontosaurus, or the Brachiosaurus. They did it, but because so people can see dinosaurs, they don't need to see T-Rex. They don't need to see Velociraptors.
No,
it's that kind of thing. Because the enclosures, it's like if you go to a zoo and there's lions, you only see the lion if it's sitting there. Because, or else if they have a fake enclosure where there's nothing for the lion to do, there's no things that shades for the lion to lie in and stuff like that. Whereas like cows and zebras and camels, you can have a flat one as long as there's food here and there and stuff like that. You can see the animals. But creating a vicious killing machine, then feeding it in a way that people can't see it unless it's actually right up at the fence, and they don't. The fact that they put the goat out and it didn't come shows that it makes zero sense, because they don't know how things work. So they've created this thing and got the goat pen. It doesn't make any sense. And that was that T-Rex pen was the most irritating, stupid thing I'd ever seen. Did you see that? Did you reckon that? Did you clock the basic bullshit mistake they made at the T-Rex pen?
And it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Well,
to the point that I've just clicked. You actually mean the pen he's holding? I had visions of a pen that you write with. That's how long. That's sorry.
Right. The T-Rex pen, right? It's basically this big wired fence in the wall, right?
Yeah.
And it's electrified. And then when the electric goes off, you see the T-Rex sort of and it knocking it down, and then it's stepping onto the wall, then stepping off, right? Yeah. Then when it nudges the car off, the car goes over and down this large wall, which is implying that there's a large wall with a fence on top. So how did the T-Rex step onto that when the car fell off down onto a tree? You know what I mean? It fell off the wall onto a tree. So how tall was that wall that the T-Rex is meant to have stepped over? That's how stupid the people who wrote it is, have the T-Rex step over the wall and then they push a car over the same wall in the same scene, and it drops and lands on a tree with a wee boy in it, and he has to climb the tree to get the wee boy out before the car comes crashing down, and you're sitting there thinking, are these people crazy? They just can't even work out their own setup. But still looks visually stunning. It's still the practical CGI. The Triceratops, when he's hugging onto it and it's breathing and she's panting it, you see its paw going, that they must have actually looked at that and thought, I don't even pretend to act here. It looked fucking amazing. You could just imagine them going, right, you have to act as if this is real. It fucking looks real. That's easy.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
What I mean? Yeah. And it's that type of thing. And then with the T-Rex, the leg going down, the bit with the jaw, you can see it. It's basically the practical effects in it are amazing. And then they do silly things like that with the the pen for keeping it in. And also, when it's chasing after the Jeep, right, it's snapping and snapping. And then right up to the point it gets that close to it, it can sideswipe the car. And you're sitting there thinking, if it could just sideswipe the car, why didn't it just go clump and grab them off the back of the car, which it had been trying to do earlier on. So somebody thought, right, now we need to actually have it so close that we can nudge the car. And you're sitting there thinking, it's trying to snap at him, but the car's going too fast. And then it gets close enough to the car to put its head down and bump it to the side. Why wouldn't it just go and grab him? Somebody's written it and just no idea. But the thing is, those things were unimportant. Apart from you were looking at it going, it doesn't really make much sense. The visual effects were amazing. It just looked fantastic. The story was actually not too bad. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to catch up, see where I was.
It was a message, yes. And the message was it's one that we could do with learning these days. Yes, we can do it, but should we?
Yes, exactly. See, I was the same. Me and my dad, when saying about a big part of life.
Everyone.
It was the same idea. I remember watching things like The Land That Time Forgot. Me and my dad sitting watching it. King Kong. I was a big fan of King Kong. The bit where he's fighting the dinosaurs on the old 1933 King Kong. I remember watching that going, King Kong, fantastic, but he's fighting dinosaurs.
I like The Land of Time Forgotten and People at Time Forgot, but that may be just as much to do with Caroline Munro's of the dinosaurs. But
well, yes,
but I mean, when it was younger than that.
Actually watching Bridget, Raquel Welch standing with the leather bikini. Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Lucky dinosaurs.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember even when I was even younger than that, even too young to appreciate Raquel Welch or Caroline Munro. I remember having books on dinosaurs, and do you remember the old tracing paper? It's like baking paper. Yeah, tracing dinosaurs through them and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I remember the tracing paper over the top drawing it. And the thing is, I don't care what people say. Like, they're saying Jurassic Park is dated because modern understanding of dinosaurs, they have feathers. I don't care. I literally do not care what dinosaurs look like. If I would want to see a picture of a dinosaur up in my wall behind me, a T-Rex, I want to see the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I don't want to see the T-Rex with chicken wings, feathers, and all this. I don't care about that. To me, aye, you know what I mean? It's that type of thing. So the saying, but Jurassic Park, every time they'd make another movie, they're just sticking to that mold. They're sticking to the way they understood it. So if they suddenly changed it, then they're taking it out of their world building.
Yeah, it's set in that universe.
Yes,
I can understand.
Universe. And truthfully, I prefer when I'm looking at old books with dinosaurs in it. I think, I remember that one, and then I look at new ones and I think, nah, I'm no interest in the new. If I was wanting to see a dinosaur now, skeleton's all I want to see. I don't want to see they all had feathers because we know they turned into birds. Sorry, show me where you get the idea that they've got that, because they've found actual dinosaurs which has been fossilized, not just the bones. They've found a couple, and they're still. You can see it's leather skin, very crocodilian-like skin.
What they mean is one of the dinosaurs is this very famous fossil of Archaeopteryx. Yes, Archaeopteryx was a feathered dinosaur on the way to become a bird with feathers. So what? Doesn't mean all dinosaurs had feathers, and some may have had proto feathers. So what? And by the way, dinosaurs existed for about, I think off the top of my head, 100 million years. And guess what? They evolved over that time. They weren't all at the same time.
Yeah, the thing is, you've got the three. You've got the Jurassic, which was the end. You've got the Cretaceous.
Cretaceous, yeah.
And
Cretaceous,
Jurassic,
Triassic,
and Cretaceous. So I think there was 3 phases.
I think so, yeah.
And that's what they're saying. Things like we are closer to the T-Rex than the Triceratops was to the T-Rex.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Because there was maybe like 100 million years between the T-Rex and that, whereas there's only 65 million years between us and the T-Rex. And it's that type of thing. So things like the T-Rex and the Triceratops didn't live at the same time. And it's that type of thing. So we are aware that when they say dinosaurs ruling thing, we are aware that all these dinosaurs we see didn't happen at the same time.
Yeah.
But in the movie, having them together doesn't make any difference. But
in the movie, it works fine because all this is okay, fine. So we clone them from different ages. That's not a problem. But the thing is, you think about it, dinosaurs as a species were alive for longer than they've been dead.
Yes.
You know, if they've been dead for 65 million years, they were alive as a species for about 100 million.
Aye, at least. You know, but that's what I'm saying. It's the fact is, it's just then they're actually turning around in the last 40 years. They've decided that all dinosaurs had feathers.
Roman,
Pluto's not a planet, and this and this and this. Bug off, just because you can actually have things, but changing how it's perceived. Unless, truthfully, my attitude is, did they look like dinosaurs and could they show us the colours? No. Because they don't know. They've only found 1 or 2 which have been fossilised as a whole. There was the one that was dug out of the ground. It was the one with all the lumps in the back. It was like a shelled creature. And it wasn't fossilised. The bones weren't fossilised. The whole thing was buried in mud. And the whole thing fossilised, so they can see it had leathery skin and such like. Yes, so from that they can say that thing. But it's when they say things like, "Well, we believe they had this colour." You do not know. You're making that up by what you understand. What you understand and what you believe are 2 different things. Yeah, and
you're saying, okay. We think this because this and this. We think that they had this kind of particular. You know, it would make sense if they had. We know roughly what the environment was like, and we think and they would like this sort of thing. But to say no, they definitely not. No, unless you get a big blue box. You walk into a blue box. You walk out of it again 70 million years later and take a photograph. Take a photograph of the night sky so we can see the difference and then come back, then I'll believe you.
Yeah. And it's that aspect of it that do I prefer to believe that they looked like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park or the brontosaurs from Jurassic Park, or do I want to believe they're all floating about with feathers? I think the ones that look more lizard-like, we are aware that they weren't all lizards as such. They just had more of a lizard scaly skin, like a crocodilian skin or a monitor lizard or a kimono dragon, that type of thing. The skin was not necessarily just leather, but it was more of a lizard type skin.
But in order to answer Melvin's question, I'm sorry, no. Very good, but no. We all know why the dinosaurs died out. PJ and I both know why the dinosaurs died out. They were hunted. They were hunted to extinction by time-traveling cowboys. We know. We read the documentary in 2000 AD.
Yes,
we read the documentary
series. See, Flesh was one of my favourites. Oh, one eye. I mean, I loved that one, and it was definitely one of the best ones. I've still actually. I've got a Flesh book somewhere of one of the books.
Was it a Tharg's Future Shock where they did a really good explanation of the butterfly effect and minor changes, where someone goes back in time to, I can't remember exactly when it was, but sometime around certainly the primeval era, He's told not to step off the path. He steps off the path, steps on a butterfly, I think. And when he comes, what's going to happen to that one? And when he comes back to the present, you can see rather than humans, people are much more chimp-like. And the last shot is him about to take his helmet off. The last picture in the strip is he's about to take his helmet off and wondering if he's changed or not.
Yeah,
I think there was.
I remember they did one. Another one was that they'd gone back to witness the death of the dinosaurs. There was obviously the thing about the meteor striking the Earth, but this is before they found the crater in Mexico and stuff like that. They were just trying to find out where it was, and they were sitting in a corner. They'd set up a research space out, and they were watching, and they'd been scanning the skies, no meteors, and they would jump forward another 100 years, nothing. Jump forward another 100 years, nothing. And then they finally determined that something else must have killed the dinosaurs, but they had no idea what. But as part of this, you see one of the wee guys was sitting there going, and it's just basically throughout. He was in the back with the hand.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
And basically at the end, you see him go, and then they get in, they back into their time ship and go back, and they're still to work out why they'll have to find another research why it did it. And then as that disappears, you see one of the dinosaurs go. It was implying them going back, gave them the gold, and it wiped them out. And I thought it was a nice, fun way of actually doing it. It wasn't the usual things. It was just it was a fun way of actually, this is how the dinosaurs died out. Even though we think it was a meteor, but we couldn't find it. Yeah, but obviously, it was like 20, 30 years ago they did that one, and that was before they actually had identified the crater. But entertaining, that's what it is. And see, Jurassic, this one here, I don't like Jeff Goldblum's character in it. It's just, to me, he's one of these technobabble, new agey, chaos theory of life always have a way. It's almost a case of, it doesn't seem like a scientist. He just seems like one of these hippy dippy type of guys. The way he says it, and he's always giving it all that. And I'm just sitting there thinking,
I think it's maybe because he's. Maybe because he's supposed to be a mathematician. Yeah, or not possibly.
Yeah, I just found his character just, well, not so much unbelievable, just almost, it was almost unscientific. Going on about chaos theory, but giving it and yes, they'll find a way. And really, give us a scientific thing, mate, rather than, well, life always finds a way. Prove it. At least explain why it's that type of thing. I just find it weird.
Yeah, it's
a T-Rex with feathers. I'll have a double order from the nearest KFC.
Yeah.
How about a drumstick?
Boom, boom.
I was going to do that as well, but I would rather have the chicken drumstick.
I was going to say something else. I've forgotten what it was now because I was halfway replying to Darren at the time. Yeah,
but the thing is, no matter what I dislike the John Hammond character because he was just almost a case of he was I really wanted this and I really wanted that, but I don't want you to disagree, but I've actually brought you on because I really want to hear what you've got to say. And if they say it, they go, you're just thinking this, and it's almost a case of, I want you to hear what you're saying, as long as I can get you to agree with me. A very political, very politician type, as in, whatever you say, I'm going to listen to because I need to hear opposite views. but you should actually listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. And it was almost like that, and they were convinced that he was there. He just wanted them to agree with them because I've got money and I can actually, I'm a visionary and all this, and you're sitting there thinking,
yeah.
And then you've got Malcolm, and I just disliked his character. He just seemed like a hippy dippy guy. He just almost like, he was more like a new age. Instead of having a leather jacket, he should have actually just had beads and a CND badge and
tie-dye t-shirt
dreadlocks on. I had the tie dye and that type of thing, and it just, that's the type of thing we came across as. So I couldn't take anything he said serious at all. The two main, Sam O'Neill and what was her name? Laura Dern. Their two characters to me were the best two because they were believable. Even the kid Tim was very believable. Him walking about quoting facts from his book, and his book's bigger because it must be because it's fully illicit and all this. You could just imagine a kid who's fascinated with dinosaurs, got his book, meeting them. And then just walking around telling them everything about his book.
Kids still are. I mean, I know some friends of mine who've got a 4-year-old daughter, and she at times she can actually tell you the names of all the point out dinosaurs I'd never heard of that didn't exist when I was a kid. You know, I think there's something about the dinosaurs and monsters. There's something about them that's still there.
Yeah. But it's the same again as I remember growing up. It was always the Brontosaurus was the bigger one. Well, they say the Brontosaurus. No. That was just that's a generic name for the type of dinosaur. It's actually now the Brachiosaurus or the Allosaur. It's that type of thing. So that it's the Brontosaurus is just a generic name for a big dinosaur.
Yeah.
But that's how we grew up. It was the Brontosaurus was the big one with a big long neck, the big long body, the big long tail, and it just plodded along. Well, and then it basically said, no, there's multiple species, and this one's this, and this one's this, and this. Right, fair enough. I understand that. Whereas they just didn't know. They just assumed they were all of a similar.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, have you ever anyone seen pictures of the? I don't know if it's still there. But there was a display in Alexandra Palace, I think, somewhere up in London. And basically, they're dinosaurs from what they thought in the Victorian era, what they thought the dinosaurs when they first been to. And they're all on all fours because that's what they thought. But since then, further research, further information's come to light. We've got better methods of modeling things. We've got a lot more fossil record, so it's changed. It's understandable. I mean, it's a little bit like back in your day and my day, right? There was a lady who gave the Romans a lot of trouble, and her name was Boadicea. Right? Nowadays, it's Boudica because current scholarly examination believes that's probably how it would have been pronounced. Things change as we change our knowledge. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, you are. They got 2 or 3 partial skeletons of this smegging great thing. That, I mean, I remember being told was so big it could only exist in the water because it couldn't even hold its own weight up.
Yeah.
And yet, so now they've got more of those ones, and we've got Brontosaurus is a type. You said we've got the Brachiosaurus and all. But
there's also the aspect of it is when it comes down to it, Jurassic Park could never work. Even the cloning, if they got it right, they were using, instead of frogs, they used birds' DNA to mix in because of that. But it's the fact is, I've heard different theories on it, right? There's some of them are just so far out there, it's crazy. The reason they grew so big is because the Earth was larger.
No.
Or the Earth was rotating slower, which means it had slightly lesser gravity, so they could grow bigger. Or they just had a lot. I know that's what I'm saying. Some of them are just out there. Or basically there was a higher oxygen content in
Hmm.
The air.
What it
Which
that
means with they could take in more oxygen, then more oxygen could rotate, go around their circulatory system because they didn't need to take as much. Their heart didn't need to run as things, so they could be bigger. They're already doing experiments with mosquitoes, right? They've got normal mosquitoes, and what they're doing is the next generation of them, they're actually in the tank that they're breeding them, they're actually introducing extra oxygen. Not a lot, and they've grown. I think it was 30%. They've got them up over the generations. They've got them up to 30% bigger than they were by introducing more oxygen in, and that's basically what they're saying. But whereas now, you get a dinosaur that big, it'll go because there's not enough oxygen in the atmosphere to actually for something that big.
Well, I mean, it's not. Yeah, but the thing is, it's known because I mean, I remember again from when I was a kid. You go, but they know, or they are as certain as you can be with these things that even before the dinosaurs, there was a lot more. There was more oxygen in the atmosphere because until plants and algae in particular, which is why they reckon you could have things like centipedes the size of a horse because of the oxygen. So yeah, that's one theory. But all they just grew that big when they grew because they grew that big and had the muscles to support themselves, thinner bones and muscles to support themselves. You know, we don't know.
Right, did I miss that one? What's that one? A Sound of Thunder.
Was that to do with the or the I think that's when Melvin posted it. We were talking about flesh and future shocks.
Yeah, it could. The Sound of Thunder. I think that's what it was. It's the one with the sneeze. But the thing is, well, I could criticize Jurassic Park for the whole wall thing. The T-Rex steps out when it pushes something back in, it falls down quite a distance onto the top of a tree, which you're sitting there thinking, so if it's that tall, the wall, how the hell did that get up or cross over? So somebody's not thought about it. So it made zero sense. But these criticisms are irrelevant because it's an entertaining, well filmed, or well structured.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's entertaining. The visual effects are absolutely amazing for the time. What else can you ask for? Even if there's bits in it you think, yeah, it's a wee bit, it doesn't matter. They're unimportant. Whereas you can get a movie that is visually stunning, has no mistakes like that, but it's absolute crap. You wouldn't know what you go and see just because it's visually stunning. There is a lot of movies that are visually stunning, like 2001. Visually, it looks it's space porn. Would I watch it again now? No, because I had great memories when I was watching it as a kid. Watching it after we watched it for the review, I was sitting there thinking, oh, going to stop breathing. Shut up. Going to cut that bit out. That's 10 minutes of him moving from there to there. Just cut that bit out. You could go out and we'll see the same part of the story. That part is unimportant with it. As the spaceship goes. And you're sitting there thinking, I couldn't watch 2001 again at all because it just numbed my brain because, it looks visually stunning, but the story is boring. And if I would edit it, if I was have to watch it again, I would edit it and cut out all those parts where they're spending 10 minutes going along just with the breathing. You could at least take maybe half an hour off of the movie with all these big long shots that really don't do anything for the movie except oh, look at what we can do, and like, does this not look visually fantastic? This whole part going along here, nothing's happened except they went from there to there, and they're showing it. It's like watching Monty Python and Holy Grail. The bit where John Cleese is running up, the two soldiers are going. Then he got back to him, he's running, and they're still standing there because he's fixing it. Then he and then they go like that, and then suddenly he's there and chop it up, and he runs past them. Whereas, could you imagine the camera was just there? He had them a wee in the distance, and then they just filmed them just constantly running, and running. It would be boring. But the bit where they did it looked as if he was constantly in the distance, running. He was still in the distance, and the two of them are going like that because he's so far away. Then he's suddenly there, chop, and bast. It was funny because it looked like he was never getting any closer. Suddenly it was there. But you can imagine they could have actually just filmed him running. It's that type of thing. If they're actually, there's certain parts. So this movie looks stunning. It has got a good story, and it is entertaining. So all the criticism are unimportant criticisms, because there's just things like, well, it's not a movie that I've got a lot of. It's not so much time for. It's just that it's a story I enjoyed, but it's not a story that grabbed me in that I could rewatch. Like, you look at the movie, it's one of my favourites, which I can rewatch multiple times. King Kong and Them. I could rewatch them. Yet other people turn around and go, well, they're not really that good, and the story's quite dull because it's a long story about this and the ants. They're hunt for the ants, and they're doing this for the ants. Or in King Kong, they're doing this. They've captured it, and then he's walk, and it's the animatronics or the effects aren't great because you can see this big enormous bug and it just looks a wee bit clunky. Or the King Kong, you can actually see him when it's fighting. It's just plasticine models. I don't mind that because I enjoy the movie, so I've got a lot more invested in it. Whereas in Jurassic Park, I don't have as much invested in it. I enjoyed the movie, even rewatching it, even though it was a movie I wouldn't put on my rewatch list every year. I could put it on maybe once every 5 or 6 years, but it's one of those things that it's entertaining, it's visually stunning, but for me it doesn't hit all those spots. Whereas ones that aren't visually stunning, I could rewatch over and over again. Like Them is on my watch list every at least 6 months. King Kong is on my watch list every year. It used to be on my watch list every 6 months, but I've had to change my watch list because I've got so much more. Judge Dredd is on my watch list 4 or 5 times a year because I think that is a fantastic movie. Visually, I don't think it's a fantastic movie. If I was going for visuals for the Judge Dredd universe, I want to see Sylvester Stallone's Mega City one. I want to see Carla Bain in it.
Yeah.
And I want a different outfit from both of them. But that's a different story. I want a Judge Minty outfit and a Carla Bain judge and a Sylvester Stallone's Mega City one. That's what I want. But I ain't going to get. Unless I become a billionaire and actually do it myself. But it's just unfortunate. But this is still a good. I can't actually criticize it too much. The criticisms I have are just editing. Somebody's actually not realised that it makes no sense. T-Rex stepping out, then them getting falling in down the big wall. So how the hell did the T-Rex? Or the T-Rex is going snap, 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 but it clocked close enough to bump. Then why didn't you just try to grab him out? It would have made more sense that T-Rex would have went, got you, rather than actually try to stop the truck, because that made no sense. but it was still an entertaining movie. And they did that part, obviously, because they wanted to get a wee bit more of danger with the T-Rex right beside it. So it was a bit more dangerous. But if they realised that if they got the T-Rex any closer, it would have just went and eaten them. So because you've only got 3 of the main cast that's not going to die in that car, well, one of them was going to die, but that's later on. It's going to die in the car, then they can't have the T-Rex actually catching up and just still doing the same as it was trying to do by eat. But they're just minor criticisms. I can criticise King Kong. I can criticise them, still enjoy them.
Well, yeah,
but
you can
criticise them because the criticisms are unimportant. If this is your favourite movie, who gives a toss what I think? If this is one movie you've never watched, you've no intention to watch because you don't like dinosaurs, what that matter does I think? If you want to hear what I think, that's the only that's the only thing that matters. Whereas if you don't care what I think, I'm not going to change your mind. But if you've never seen it and you want to know what it's about, I'm quite happy to tell you what I think of the movie and the effects and this and where it all works or where it all doesn't. Because you can't be critical of something. Say, everything's fantastic. That movie is the best movie I've ever seen. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's it. So it's like me. I'll give an example. Somebody says about shorts, the YouTube shorts. And I says, do I watch shorts for reviews? No, because you don't have time. Do I watch shorts for opinions on a movie? Yeah, I can understand that. But if I want to hear somebody's opinion about the movie, that I've seen reviews of other movies, so I know their type of taste. If I don't want to actually spend 15, 20 minutes watching the review of the movie, because I'm thinking about going to see it, so I might actually look at a short, which is less than a minute, and somebody saying, this movie, I didn't think it was too bad. There was a wee bit slow in places, but it's good. It's worth the money. If you've watched a couple of reviews and you've seen the movies they're reviewing and you actually agree with them, then a short's great for it. But it's not a review, but it's an impression, an opinion. A short's an opinion piece. So if you're wanting somebody's opinion on it, that's fine. If you've never seen the movie, that's fine. But the good thing is, old movies, there's some of them are that old, people have never seen them.
Yeah.
And some of them are that old and that fantastic, they need to see them. And I must admit, I would recommend if somebody likes dinosaur movies and they've never seen this one, why not? Look at the CGI, look at the practical effects, and it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
there's another one, that's true. Sci-fi technology from the original Star Trek. Big green buttons and yellow buttons and things that go boop, 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 boop. Yes, Captain, it actually looks as if it's a ship in the distance, whereas they go, now, tablet, that's what it looks like, Captain. Look. Technology for the earlier ones is less advanced than the more up-to-date ones. Unless they're doing a prequel, then that means the technology is more advanced. Like, for instance, you've got Star Trek, the original. Great, with the yellow buttons and Spock just getting wee bits of plastic and putting them in and reading through the rescope and telling you what it means and and it's printing out bits of paper or Rand giving you a tablet to sign.
Yeah.
And then you've got Enterprise and they tried to make it look, and it's sort of worked a lot.
Yeah,
like,
they did
instance,
the best they could to actually make it.
The pulse pistols rather than a phaser. So they were going that way. And then you got Discovery, where they've got holographic communications. Really? You've got something that's more advanced than the original series, yet you're meant to be ahead of the original series. You're meant to be done before the original series, but your technology's better, your ships are better, your weaponry's better. It makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? That's why I don't like prequels, because they can't actually make it look as...
I remember William Shatner saying that Thomas said at one point, saying possibly in one of his autobiographies, I'm not sure, but saying a story where he doesn't where he's out shopping or something, and he can't quite, he doesn't quite get why people are looking and pointing at him until he realizes that he is using a flip mobile phone.
Yes.
Which, of course, everybody of a certain generation had a flip mobile phone, and they always flipped on.
Exactly. I had a
have you? In fact, if anyone knows, on rare occasion I've actually received a text. My text alert is a communicator beep.
I used to have it as a communicator beep when I actually had a flip phone.
Yeah.
But what I would have preferred is when they opened the communicator and started doing that and talking that way, I would have preferred if they did that.
Well, yeah, that would have been...
That would have been a lot, because you could just imagine at the time they thought it was a case of that looked a lot better. The communicator did, and they were just talking into it. But how were they hearing it? That means everybody heard it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's the same as Babylon 5. Their communicators here, which is fine. But sometimes you see them going and stuff like that. You're sitting there thinking, that makes no sense. See, when you're actually clipping that on, clip something there so it actually sort of it ties it so you can do that and you're hearing it in your ear.
You've seen them do that occasionally, I think, where they made a particular point of it actually specifically being a covert link, where they obviously presumably they got something where they could just push a button or something on the link and it switched it to earpiece mode or something. But
but there has been times when I've seen them go, they're talking into it like that and they go like that.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking, makes no sense. Because you imagine they're actually getting a communicator in a loud place. What? Pardon? What? Because they can't hear because there's noises around it. Or maybe they're getting attacked and there's explosions going off and they're going, send down the Star Fury. They're going, what, Captain? We can't hear you because there's all that noise. And it's that type of thing. It just doesn't make sense.
There are some of them.
But that's the thing. Things that don't make sense or sci-fi, you're allowed to get away with sci-fi ones.
But then, to be quite honest, I mean, I've used a few radios which are, like that. I mean, these days, your phone. How often on your phone do you? A lot of the time, will you have it on speaker?
I'll have that if I'm in here. If I'm in here and the phone goes, I'll just flick it to speaker because I'm not going to sit like that when I'm in the room myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but these things. Good night, Kelly. Have a good trip home.
Right.
See you on Saturday, if not before.
Yes. So, when was the last time you actually saw?
Oh, a long time ago. I was going to rewatch it. Actually, do you know what? No, I remember enough for the film to talk about it. Yeah, I saw that when he put
first week in September. I'm taking the first week in September off. I'm going down. I've said to Ian I'm going to go down. He says he's going. I'm planning to go down. I'm hoping they're talking about initially London, but they may actually do outside London.
Oh, God.
I would prefer it was outside London. However,
absolutely. Any excuse
if it's outside London, I'll drive down. If it's in London, I'll take a flight down or I actually probably won't even take a flight down. What I'll probably do is take a train down that way, wherever it's going to be, because I don't really know my way around London. So I'm literally going to be trying to stay somewhere near so I can get there. And that's it. I don't need to move around.
Oh, London.
But it's the same idea. So I'm planning to go. So I'm hoping to meet anybody, any you guys that are coming down as well. Actual meet up as well. It's the same idea again. Depends when.
I can think of one good thing to do in London. Build a wall around the inside of the M25, going in 10 years' time and take over what's left.
Aye. The M25 car park.
Yeah, because it'd be a shame to waste all those really nice historical sites. But other than that, no.
Aye, so the sound of thunder was the one you were talking about. That's what it was. They stood in a dragonfly, went back in the future, everything went mental.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember, because what I remember that one, I say more than anything else, is that he comes back and we never find out if, because he changed history, has he changed as well? You know,
The T-Rex chase scene,
Yeah.
the Benny Hill theme.
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do those.
Yep, went definitely a masterpiece. Right, what's this? No, I didn't trim it. It's just, I'm just looking at it and going, it's no trimmed.
Yeah.
It's just that bit there. I just keep pulling at it, and I think I've pulled out all the grey bits at the front.
Stretching it.
That's what it is. So I'm basically going to get it so it splits like that. So the two grey bits are down the middle, and it'll just look bald there. How's that look?
You're basically you're becoming rubble, aren't you? You're becoming rubble.
Uh-huh.
I won't mention my ears.
Yeah. I heard Gary was talking about he's coming up to Scotland as well at some point. I don't think they're going to do a meet-up in Scotland. I think what they're doing is they're doing the meet-up down in a couple of days, and then him and his wife and that are having a break, a holiday and stuff like that. And I know they're coming up to Scotland. I was going to actually suggest they go to see the Monty Python Castle and just tell us when they're going, and I'll drive up there as well. But
what makes sense? I mean, it's the ideal way to do it, isn't it? You know, if you're coming, you're not going to come across, go 5,000 miles of ocean just for a couple of meetups and that. You know, you're going to take your family and you're going to actually do some things as well.
I would love to go to Vegas again. My wife would love to go to Vegas again, but we
Never been.
audit and dodit here. We can't get anybody to look after them, and it's going to cost more for kenneling the two of them than it would be for the holiday. So, ain't happening. I'm stuck to go down to London. My wife would love to come down with us. She can't because we can't get somebody to look after audit and dodit for a few days. And the kennel would just cost more than actually a trip for two of us down to London. So there's no point. Even the cheapest overnight kennel, 24-hour kennel, is something like £25 per dog per night. So if we were going down for 3 nights, that's £150 just for the dogs. And for us to go down by train in a couple of nights stay, could do that for about £100.
Yeah.
I mean, so
it's to be fair, it's probably not a bad price. 25 quid a night. It's probably not that bad, but it's, as you say, it's the fact it's several nights, it's the 2 dogs and all the rest of it on top of it. You know, it's 25 quid on the top of it. Oh, that's not too bad. But then you think, well, hold on a second, you got all the other things as well.
So that's 50 quid.
Yeah,
I mean, and if we went to Vegas, you're talking about it's at least a 7-day holiday we want. Even if we went for a long weekend, which considering the distance we're traveling there and back, you're talking about you've got to go for a good 5 days minimum.
Oh, easy, yeah.
But you need to actually drop the dogs off one day and pick them up the next. So that's 7 days. That's £350.
Yeah,
for the dogs alone.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to do
And
that.
and basically we could get the flights for a week, for a 5-day, and the hotel rooms for about the same price.
You could get them frozen in suspended animation and revived 2 weeks later cheaper than that, probably.
Yeah, but that's the only thing. It's because Buddy, my sister, my father-in-law and mother-in-law look after him. Because he's so easy going. I mean, he's so laid back. He's actually quite happy to do things. Benji needs constant attention. My sister used to look after him, but with my brother-in-law not being well, and she's got 3 dogs, and it's just a wee bit too much. We can't actually put him in a kennel on his Todd because he'll not be able to handle being on his own.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes down to look after him, that means they cannot leave the house. physically cannot leave the house. They could take him out, but what could they do? Anytime he sees other dogs, he just goes hyper. It's a case of you couldn't even leave him in the house for 10 minutes on his own because he's got anxiety issues. He's a mental case. So yes. So it's just one of those things. So like we're away, we're having a break in beginning of June. Literally, we're taking a 5-day break. The two dogs are coming with us, and we're going to a cabin. Just the 4 of us. That way we can relax. The dogs can get taken out. We can relax. It's a nice wee place. I'm okay with that. I like if we want to go down to the Lake District. Perfect. Go down there. We can get somewhere that takes dogs. Or we go up north, somewhere that takes dogs. As long as we've got somewhere that can take the dogs, we can still have nice wee holidays. It just means we can't go abroad. Bummer. Or we can't stay in the city. Bummer.
Damn, oh dear.
But yeah, I would love to make it to Vegas. If I was coming over, yeah, do bloody right, because my wife loves Vegas as well. Because the last time we were in Vegas, it was actually Thanksgiving, which means all the shows were shut down. And she missed the shows that were there, and she was gutted. So the next time we come over, we're hoping it's not Thanksgiving, so she can go to the shows.
Well, at least you know roughly when Thanksgiving is every year, so you can avoid it. No.
There you go, Wend. You want 2 dogs?
I know.
Your cat can bully them. Your cat can bully them.
We've got several of the couples in my group have got dog or dogs, and you get them all together. We're outnumbering no matter how many humans there are. But it's about sometimes.
Yep. Do you know the dogs are they're going to get shaved on Sunday. Their actually hair is actually starting to be longer than mine. So yeah, ain't you, bud? He's lying zonked out, but their hair's actually longer than mine. What are you done with? They look like a Wookiee. They're not a Wookiee. They look like an Ewok. Literally, their hair's like that. You can hardly see them. Their face is just. I'm definitely going to get them Ewok outfits for Halloween. Because they're actually starting to look like Ewoks. This will be the first time in Vegas meetup at Christy Myers show. Several other folk going from YouTube here. It looks amazing because Ian went over the last time and met up with the father and stuff like that. So he did. I was just so jealous. I just wish we could make it. It would be great.
Yeah, I saw some of the videos from it. I know Purple went over as well, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
It's a few, yeah. But,
it's just, we would love to. Basically, it would give me an excuse to go, can we have another holiday in Vegas? My wife would go, aye, okay, when? It wouldn't be an argument, but with the dogs, we can't. Unfortunately, we had to cancel. We were meant to go to Prague in the beginning of was it end of February, and we had to cancel it, and we lost the £400.
Oh, jeez.
The thing is, we cancelled the flights, and they charged us £50 cancellation fee, which means we didn't get the money back, and they charged us the extra money to cancel it. The hotels, at least, that's the cancellation, and of course it is. It's a con.
It's amazing because they
cancelled it and just not turned up.
So they've got your money and they've charged you more money, and then they can make more money by selling the seats to someone else.
Yes,
Jesus. Yeah.
Exactly. So we had to cancel the holiday, and it was a week in Prague. But when the hotel in Prague, they basically says there's a cancellation fee, which is 10%. So they gave us the rest back, and that money is the money we used to book the cottage.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, you can understand this.
The flights was the biggest con. The flights, we paid the flights up front. So if we didn't turn up, that was it. We would have just missed our flight. But because we phoned to tell them and cancel, They charged us £50 and it was non-returnable, the cost of the flights.
Well, we know what's going to happen
£50
next time
extra.
then, don't we?
Of course it is. It's, if that ever happened again, I'm just basically just not turning up. Do you know what I mean? It's basically it's hindsight. If we knew that was going to happen, I would have just let them actually call and Mr. and Mrs. You know what I mean? Let them hold the plane up, because no our fault, because you were charging us money if we and the thing is, we didn't cancel it the day before. We cancelled it 3 weeks before. Plenty time. But they still charged us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I've just acquired some 2000 AD down a cover price of 2000 AD number 2, 8 pence.
Yes, that was the original one. Yes,
8 new pence. I mean, that's where Dare started in episode 2.
Judge Dredd 2.
Judge Dredd
was in episode 1. There you go. There's Buddy. Without.
Oh,
remember I was saying about him needing a haircut. Right, Bud, look.
Good grief, yeah.
Bud, here, look.
Yeah. He can't see.
He can't see. Right, Benj, you're not as bad. You're actually, I combed your hair earlier. You want to come up and say? Yeah, okay. But
apparently the Vulcan invasion took place in 1999 as well. Who remember that?
What?
So the Vulcan invasion took place.
Took place
the same year last.
Bill Turner. Was it Bill Turner? It was the Bill Slade. It was Bill
Savage.
Bill
Savage, yeah.
Bill Savage, aye, with shotgun leather jacket. Yeah, I love that. The Vulcans, we want to call them Russians. They act like Russians, but we can't call them Russians, so they're Vulcans. Yeah. From whereabouts? The River Volga? Maybe. Where is that? It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Politically, they didn't want to call them Russians, so they called them Vulcans. Where are they from? But yeah, I love that. Sam Slade, Bill Savage,
Mac 1, Secret Agent
Mac
John
1
Probe.
as well. Mac 0. They did a Mac 0, which was not as good, but Mac 1 was good. MACH 1.
Yeah. Dan Dare with the a redhead Dan Dare.
Yeah, with a Mekon. Yeah. See, I loved all those ones.
Harlem Heroes, yes.
Harlem Heroes.
The only sports thing I was ever interested in. I was ever interested in Royal Rovers, Harlem Heroes.
Harlem Heroes, I loved. Harlem Heroes to me was when I watched Rollerball. It was Rollerball with jetpacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically
and some weird bloke on a bike that looks like he belongs in the Adeptus Arbites. Sorry, no, the Arbites were based on Judge Dredd.
But it's it's just the early comics were great.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to actually start wrapping up. So, boys and girls, lads and lassies, remember, this is the last live show for Wednesday nights for a while. I'm going to actually start recording stuff and just uploading reviews because I've got a busy week and I've been busy for the last wee while, and I think that's why I ended up ill. So I'm just going to take time off. Saturday is always going to be there. The Saturday Let's Talk Geeky stream is going to always be live. Same time, same place. However, I'll stick for a wee while to recording videos because that way I can do it throughout the week and do editing whenever I've got free time and then get them uploaded. And then I think it's just the Wednesday's starting to take its toll. So this is the last one. So what we're going to do, we're going to make it extinct. And maybe in the future we might find a wee mosquito and a wee bit of amber and bring it back. With a few changes
again.
Yeah, I might have hair up here in the New World.
Yeah.
But
With some,
I'm just... So what when you last saw this, what would you give this Jurassic Park as a score? Let's finish off with a score.
For what it, I think probably some 8 or 9, because for taking it for what it was and for what it did, for the effects, for the story, and for the fact that it was that new. It was so new and so different when it first came out. That was, I think. That I think, unfortunately, it seems to have done a lot of. Spawned a lot of sequels, not all of which were particularly
not as good. Aye,
yeah,
right. So I must admit, I quite agree there. The sequels were nowhere near as good as this one. So, what do you think?
I would say I'd say 8 because of for the film itself.
Yeah, I think I would agree. At least. The visual effects is a 10. They're superb. The story's a good 9, and certain characters just annoyed me to the point it actually brings it down. So on the whole, I would give it a 9, maybe an 8, 9 out of 10. It's only because certain characters annoyed me and they were just unlikable and stuff like that. But the visuals bring it all the way up, and the story was entertaining. Can I actually deny that? Oh, Melvin, you're sort of wrong. Favourite 2000 story was Dredd and Strontium Dog. Yes, both stories didn't start and touch Star-Lord. Dredd was all 2000 AD from issue 2. Star-Lord's stories were Strontium Dog, and it was the Roadjaws and Hammerstein.
Warriors.
And the ABC Warriors came from Star-Lord. Dredd never was in Star-Lord.
I didn't think Drabbin is.
No, Dredd was from issue 2 of 2000 AD. Strontium Dog, Johnny
Tornado,
Alpha, and Roadjaws and Hammerstein were from Star-Lord.
Yep, I remember that one. I remember Tornado as well, vaguely.
Yeah. I'll be looking after myself, making sure everything I saw. So there you go. 9s out of 10 across the board as well.
Yeah.
As effectively, I would give it a 4 out of 10 just because of Jeff Goldblum, because he was just such a hippie character and everything. But I'm just saying, I'm telling you, Dredd was always 2000 AD. From issue 2, he was in 2000 AD. Star-Lord, I used to read Star-Lord. I've got a Star-Lord annual, 1979. And I remember when 2000 AD bought over Star-Lord, it was 2000 AD and Star-Lord. And then that happened for about 3 months. And then it was 2000 AD, Star-Lord. Then a couple of months later, it was 2000 AD, Star-Lord. Then it was 2000 AD. But no, Roger, I can even dig out the annual if you want to show you the pictures of the ones they had in it. And Johnny Alpha and Roadjaws and Hammerstein are actually on the list. But Dredd was from issue number 2, 2000 AD. Just look up the Google for issue 2 of 2000 AD, and you'll see Dredd. Dredd initially, he didn't have the ego and the shoulder pad. He had just 2 wee shoulder pads. So he did. They didn't have the big ego. That gradually went. But no, Dredd is 2000 AD from the beginning.
Yeah, possibly. It's possibly.
The Mandela effect. Yes, that's exactly it.
That's quite possible. You think we talk about these things, we think about these things, and so much comes out. And when you look back and actually know someone said something and some idea came out from somewhere, and actually someone misunderstood something, and it spreads and it spreads.
Yeah, it was. That's another thing, right? I remember somebody telling me a while back that 2000 AD, I'm still thinking about that Jurassic Park was Samuel L. Jackson's first picture. And I believed that until I looked into it. And it isn't anywhere near his
Was
first
he in
picture.
the film?
Samuel L. Jackson, he was the guy, the guy who was sitting smoking a lot, going on about the computers, and then he got eaten by the two raptors. He was the one that went, that was Samuel L. Jackson. He was basically the computer guy who was he was the engineer. The computer guy was the big guy.
The computer guy was the guy that used to be the third Rock with the Sun, wasn't he?
Yes, the one that played the cop. Yes, but the thing is, he was the computer guy, but the engineer guy was the guy who was always smoking, Samuel L. Jackson.
Wow.
And I was told that was his first, and it wasn't. It's a docu. We're actually in the process of shutting down. Surprise. Yeah. Hold on to your butts when he's doing all the switching off. But that's what I believed for such a long time until I looked into it. And he'd been acting. It wasn't big parts. It was only wee parts here and there, an episode of this or a bit in a film and stuff like that. And it was wee bit parts. But I always got told that this was his first acting gig, and it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. The Mandela effect. I just was so convinced because, and I have no idea who told me that, but it was in there. That's exactly what it was. And then until I checked, where is it? Jurassic Park. Is it Jurassic? It's there. Jurassic Park. Samuel L. Jackson played Arnold. And if you go back and look at all his stuff, so this was 93, was it? All right, 1993. Come on. Jurassic Park. There it's there. 1993 Jurassic Park. And he has been acting since 1972 was his first thing. Together for Days.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. For some reason, that's what I got told. And I was so convinced until I actually was just checking into it. And I thought, really? Where the hell did I hear that? And why did I believe it? Maybe it's because it may have been one of his most successful roles that people recognised him, because from there he got bigger roles again. But because a lot of the stuff he was in, he had wee bit part series. He had a couple of episodes here and there. Spencer for Hire, he was in 2 episodes. Things like that. The Man Called Hawk, he was in 1. Coming to America, he was the hold-up guy who stole their money. Yeah, I mean, it's things like that. So he was in things before it, and some well-known ones, but he only played wee parts.
Well, I'll give you another perfect example of the Mandela effect.
Uh-huh.
What was the name of the cabin boy on the Black Pig? What was the name of the sailor?
It is not Roger the cabin boy.
Correct. It's not Roger. It's Tom. Tom the cabin boy. And because there was no Seaman Staines.
Captain Pugwash, they always said it was Master Bates, Seaman Staines, and Roger the cabin boy, and Shaft the cat as well.
Yeah. None of those are actually real. They're actually... I don't know where that came from, but they are actually.
Yul Brynner invented his own lesson, I believe. See, it's things like that. It's just you hear things, and then it's a case of, I know this, and then you would tell people, and then you look at it and go, "Oh fuck, I've been telling people that." But yeah, I knew it was Roger the cabin boy.
You see, yeah.
It's one of those. It's an urban legend. It is a case of,
and you hear something.
Roger the cabin boy. Master Bates, Seaman Staines, you
see something, you hear something, and it affects your memory, so that you then remember watching Captain Pugwash, and you remember those characters that never existed. You remember this. I think that's.
See, the fact that you actually says on the Black Pig shows you I actually knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just goes to show these things that you're sitting there thinking. If somebody said to me, what was the name of Captain Pugwash ship, I would have went, I can't even remember. But as soon as you mention the ship, I know whose ship it was.
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I know the Mandela effect is a weird one, because that's what I'm saying. I always thought this was Samuel L. Jackson's first movie, but it's obviously been acting for such a long time, and this is probably one that probably started these more his better known career. Maybe that's all it is. This is the start of his better known stuff, because he just it was all apart. Yeah, because he was in Goodfellas as well, Exorcist 3. He was in Goodfellas as Stax Edward. He was that not the guy that actually he got shot? Remember, they were actually in Goodfellas and he was lying in, but he did the robbery and they had wanted the money, so they'd get in one day and he was sitting there and he goes, "Hold on a minute," he just walked up and he was in his bed and he just shoots him. And he says, never actually have them wanting the money. So if you do a crime with them, they're good guys. I mean, they're going to come in and be your best friend until they shoot you because they want the money themselves. And he was the one. He was the one that was actually in his bed, and they'd come in and they were all chatting away to him. And then he just walked up and shot him about 6 times. That was the one from Goodfellas. That's what I remember him in that one. But I wouldn't have been able to identify who he was. But that was before. That was 1990s. So it was. So that was a fairly big movie, and he had a fairly significant part in it. So it's just weird that you automatically hear something and you are so convinced. But then again, you look at these SJWs now, you tell them a load of crap and they're so convinced it's true.
Yeah,
I mean. But anyway, so Saturday we are back and what I'm going to do is
turn into a dwarf on Friday because you keep forgetting to mention that.
I know. The 24th. I've got a nice wee box DVD set I'm going to show. I've got a couple of things I want to show because I missed last week's, and I've got 4 toys that I'm going to show.
Wow.
One particular, 2 boxes are in a similar set, and another 2 boxes are a similar set as well. So it's like 2 sets of things. So I'll bring them out, and a really, really cool DVD box set I'm going to show on Saturday, because they would have actually been normally 2 weeks, but because I was off last week, I'm just the ones that I'd put aside for them. I'm going to bring them all together. So I'm hoping to show a nice pile of things on Saturday for it. So until then, boys and girls, lads and lassies, I hope you enjoyed it. Remember and hit the like button, because the judge says so. Just dug out the badge. It's funny, it's a wee bit like me. I just stuck it on there, and then I had it sitting like that, but the light was reflecting on it, and I thought I could just sit it like that, and who's going to notice it except me? But I had to go with my 2000 AD stuff. So Colin and I will be back on the Tabletop Junkies channel playing Castles and Crusades Wednesday. UK time is 11 p.m. on his channel.
Of course, real time, it's Friday 11 p.m.
Did I say? What did I say?
You said Wednesday.
Friday at 11 p.m. in the Tabletop Junkies channel. Have you got anything on beforehand?
No. Well, unless we
might be on the Father's channel on Friday.
On the Father's channel.
Yeah. And then on Saturday, we'll be back here for Let's Talk Geeky. No Wednesday's live streams for a wee while. So we'll see how they go. And remember, boys and girls, we ain't old. We are classic. PJ Maybe and Colin out.
Good night, folks.